back to a brand new episode right here from the B-Hive panel. My name is Swarzy and we're coming to you live and direct from the BSTN London store in the heart of Brixton. This conversation is gassy, given all the special guests, because we are celebrating the release of the Jordan 1 High OG Next Chapter, as seen, as modelled and as worn by Miles Morales from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, coming to you live and direct, dropping real soon on June the 2nd. So you need to go and see it on the big screen to come and clock all of what's going on, but also to come and be part of the conversation as well. So let's get into it. We've got a full house today, bringing all of the goss about vibes. You want soundtrack, you want music. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the one and only, it's Daniel Pemberton. He said drip with the pink. Of course, we're going to be talking about representation across the gaming world. We've got the CEO and founder of Nesaga. Give it up for Stephanie Ijoma. Also to say, when BSTN said this man is going to come through, I said we were raving together. He touches mic. He'll bring you the energy, you know. Ladies and gents, give it up for Seshie in the house. Yeah. And also, I'm actually very gassed about this lady on this side because she gets to hold it down on radio with me on BBC Radio 1 Extra, and she's a sneakerhead. Can we give it up for Joelah Noble? So, are we ready to get into this conversation? We got confidence and self-belief, we got it all going on, but I want to really hear, Daniel, what is the tea, what is the goss when it comes to this movie and its soundtrack? You've been involved in everything, so what's the latest?
Well, I mean, the first film, as you know, was like a pretty crazy journey that I don't think people had any expectation what that was going to be like. And now, I think with the second one, there's so much anticipation for it. So that has been crazy for the journey.
Yeah.
And in this new film, we have so many different characters from all over the Spider-Verse. You know, we've got ones from India, we've got one from London, we've got Spider-Punk, who's like the first London Spider-Man. We've got this crazy baddie called The Spot. We've got other things I probably can't talk about because there's like a sniper from Sony who like just kind of follows me around to make sure I don't give things away. But really, like, I think the thing about the film is about trying to pull together so many different styles of everything from like art style, culture, music, and everything is in this movie.
Yeah.
So it just pulls out everything. We've got like, you know, we've got orchestras, we've got record scratching,
wow.
We've got like techno, we've got punk, we've even got a goose. Like my favorite thing in the movie is we record scratched a goose.
What?
The sound of a goose.
That's wild.
Yeah, so there's a scene early on when we meet Miles and he gets caught up with a goose. And so I was like, all right, let's just record scratch a goose.
Yeah.
So it's like the first film soundtrack to have a record scratch goose in it.
I want to know what that sounds like.
Yeah, same.
It sounds like baka. It's like
Okay.
It's like that 100 beat. It's cool. It sounds. I mean, it's like the thing I love about this movie is like everyone in it is trying to push the boundaries the whole time, and so whether that's the art style, the directors, the way they direct the performances, the actors, so everyone is like at the top of their game, and that just means you've always got to come up with new ideas and new ways of trying to tell stories and present cinema in a way that like people haven't really experienced before.
Yeah, brilliant. And just what you said about pushing boundaries, Steph, I've got to come over to you because the gaming world at the moment is popping and you're right at the heart of it as well. So when you hear about all the music and everything else that's going on, does that excite you to know that gaming is just pushing the boundaries as much as film?
Absolutely. I feel like there's so much intersection and crossover between film and gaming, especially with a lot of, you know, games being made into films and a lot of film adaptations. So it's exciting. I mean, I'm a big Spider-Man fan myself, growing up, and that's what we do, you know, across Nesaga. We cover not just gaming, but also films. So, you know, I'm really excited to really go across the Spider-Verse, you know, and it's just incredible to, you know, being able to work in what I do and meeting so many different people from different walks of life. It definitely does resonate with, you know, the multiverse of, you know, the Spider-Verse and everything. So, you know, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, man. Hearing the goose, I need to come back and hear this goose, you know, because that's one I haven't heard before. Joelah, let me come to you, sis. I mean, these kicks are looking very fresh on you. You're a big sneakerhead. We're all loving them. So when you first saw the drop, were you excited?
Absolutely gassed, obviously. The Jordan ones are like top 3 Jordan silhouettes for me. I feel like I can rock it with most things anyway. So yeah, I like it. It's got obviously, you know, the classic red and white kind of colorway, but then something a little bit different at the top, which I think is fun. And yeah, I'm excited to see what I wear with it.
Yeah, exactly. we were talking about all the different crepes, all the different styles that we can rock with this one. Right, well, I'm gonna go straight in and talk about superpowers because I'm really excited to talk about self-belief and confidence and all that thing. But let's go fiction first. So Seshie, you already had this one lined up. He's already talking to me off camera like, yeah, this is my superpower. So if you could have any superpower, unlimited choice, what would you go for? What would you pick?
I got 2 answers. One would be mind control.
Mind control. My guy went there. Okay.
Easy,
and why? And why? Why mind control?
Because I can do whatever I want now. That's it. Like, I want money, I want this, I want that. Like, yeah. Or the other one that I usually say is to be able to copy anyone else's superpower.
That's cheating. Come on, that's cheating.
It's a bit messy. How? Going a bit messy.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
But if you're the only superhero and you only guys with any superpowers, like what's it, like the world's fastest shelf stacker or like?
But he said copy, not steal. But then also there could be certain quirks that's not like positive fully, you know. So now you've got everything.
Life, isn't it?
Oh, okay, all right. He's prepared for this, guys.
That's fine. But those would be my 2: mind control or. Yeah.
To replicate what you...
Yeah, because then I could just do anything. Like I could teleport, I could fly, I don't have to stress. I got everything I want.
Yeah, okay. He said, really out here, I'm here for everyone's
He's going to be on the hunt looking for other people's
100%.
superpowers.
And then they're going to put a bounty on you because...
Yeah, so he's a villain at this point.
Yeah, but listen, there's always a hack. You know how this works. There's always a hack.
No.
He's a villain.
Okay.
That's what it is. Yeah.
He's out here doing real mafia games. Okay, mind control and then also to replicate. Let me come over to you, Daniel. Since you've been so involved with the film, is there a superpower now that you think, I didn't think about that one before, but that's what I'd like?
I would like the teleportation one. Because I think like that way, your life could be really cool. You could just be like, right, I want to go get like a drink in Cuba. Boom. Let's go do that. Or
good choice.
Like I'm feeling a bit stressed out. I just want to go in the jungle, you know, like in the Amazon or something.
Yeah.
And just that would be good because Oyster card doesn't really cut it. It's like
It's the same with mind control though.
Yeah.
You can mind control your way onto the plane and then you're in Cuba.
yeah, but it's good. It's
So
a time.
much
That's a lot of
energy.
time. That is a lot of time. It's like you just want to be there. I just want to go to like, let's say Cuba just for 5 minutes. Boom, in, out.
Okay. Think about your answers because my follow-up question is going to relate real well to these answers. So, Joelah, what about yourself? Any superpower?
I mean, Daniel, you kind of stole my superpower, actually.
Not stealing.
Because, you know, what are you... you
took
do
my
have
power.
his superpower
Definitely
then.
took yours.
they're literally the Spider-Man meme, these two. They're just like,
Actually, weirdly, that also ties into the film, weirdly, because they might have a device that does that, and maybe that's why I thought about it, which is
Sony,
like,
you're watching you. Just remember that.
Yeah.
But it does have to be teleportation. It's just saving so much time. I'm really pale right now. I need a tan. Do you know what I mean? I'm going Trinidad. Trinidad Carnival was just February. I went. I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying it was like a 10-hour flight. I could have got there in 10 seconds.
Right. And had 9 hours in the sunshine more so than you did. So I hear
Exactly.
it. Okay.
and it's good for the environment.
Wow. He said sustainability. We're here being very sustainable in our answers. Okay. Okay, we're
That's
on
what I was
Netflix.
thinking about, to be honest.
Sure.
That's your answer, innit? Steph, what about yourself? You've got so much knowledge about gaming. Surely there's a power that you're...
Flight, because for me, like the first thing I want to do is try and go on holiday and try and go anywhere in the world because I love traveling. But more importantly, sky's the limit for me, and it definitely resonates with what I do every day. So definitely flight.
Okay, right. So you've got flight, mind control, and stealing everyone else's powers. That's okay. What was your one?
Teleportation.
You've got teleportation.
Double teleportation.
Okay, right.
That's the most fun, I can't lie.
That is kind of fun. I can't lie. I need to think in my bag real deep to think, what's mine now? But given these are fictional, we know that a lot of life brings a lot of challenges, a lot of things that you've done along your way. So if there was a superpower that you genuinely have, that you have unlocked in life, whether that's through life is hard, the pressure is getting worse in whatever situation, when have you, in a real moment, really unlocked a superpower that you always had within you? Not being cheesy at all, but whether it relates to the superpower that you want or one that you already have, given everything that's been said already, what's been a time where you've unlocked a real superpower in your life? Seshie, let me come to you.
Boy, there's a lot. I'd say there's two. One is like, kind of like the gift of the gab. Like the finesse, the pattern, which is like charm.
Okay, charm.
So I say that, and then I say, obviously I'm a host, so I do a lot of events. So I'll say like some kind of energy transmutation, like where I share energy with the audience, they share theirs with mine, and just have a great time. So.
But to unpack that even further, because that's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy just to come through and turn on the energy. Do you know? You've got life, you've got everything going on.
Yeah.
So how do you contain that? But how do you give and pour into that as well?
I don't know. I feel like it's more just like a zone, like a feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like, obviously with the work I do, it involves a lot of like live events, a lot of concerts, controlling big audiences.
Yeah.
And I feel like once there's a state that you kind of go into where you're free, you're in this zone where it's you and them. And that just helps me be able to like share the vibe that I want to give and I want them to feel, and then they can reciprocate that and give it back. So it's like, it's a crazy world because you have to see it to believe it. But yeah, I'd say that. And then with regards to like just the gift of the gab, charm, and it's like just knowing how to like have a good conversation and talk to people and either get your idea across or get your message across in a way where no is not an answer.
Really push through. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. I guess that is a little bit of mind control you got going on there.
Yeah.
You're calling it charm, but it's okay.
It's called the Como. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that one from you. Thank you very much. Steph, what about yourself? Has there been a time where there's been a pressure or something you've had to overcome and it's unlocked a superpower in your life?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's a time, but I would say, I guess my superpower is just being an unapologetic black woman. In my industry, we're very unfavorable, and I say this all the time, but I've been able to really come into these rooms and let people know like what it is to be a black woman and why we are important in these spaces. And in doing so, it's shown how much impact that it's had, which is, I guess, another superpower, my impact. And being able to, you know, really change lives of others and, you know, many other black women who want to be in the gaming space and make a difference, whether it's, you know, sharing your love of gaming with other people or, you know, consulting or, you know, telling brands why, you know, we also need to be, you know, feel seen and heard. And I think that's something where a lot of, you know, industries in particular, especially as a black woman in this type of industry, it's seen as unfavorable and will not desired. But I've tried to make sure that over the years I've overcome those barriers and really stood tall. And in doing so, you know, again, just about leaving that legacy, I want to make sure that my superpower, you know, really inspires the other black girls who are coming forward after me. So hopefully that's been able to do it, and, you know, just seeing the response of it is really, I guess, it's that kind of energy, you know? So when I see those changes being made because of the impact that I'm doing as a black woman, it makes my superpower even more stronger.
Yeah, come on. I love that, I love that, I love that. That made me think of a question, but I'm gonna just finish this and then come back to you and say, when joy and representation crosses over, must it be that we must always think about representation, or is there a point where we can just be joyful in the space? So I'm coming back to you. I'm saying that out loud so that people can be like, Swaz, you're coming. Joy and representation, I'm coming. Joelah, what about yourself? There's been a time in life, or maybe just in general, you're like, that's my superpower, you know, that's the one I'm unlocking.
Yeah, I think there's a couple, but definitely like the power of like fast reflexes, right? As a presenter, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well. Like when you're on radio, and listen, you lot think it's easy, but when you've got to hit that news real quick, or you've got to like fill up space and time and stuff like that, like you've really just got to think on your feet. I've had instances where I was practicing with an auto cue and everything worked perfectly, and as soon as we went live, the auto cue's not working. Do you know what I mean? It's things like that, like really believing in yourself and like having that confidence to also be able to do that. And also I think alongside that, the power of like pushing through regardless of whatever's going on. Like in our industries, I'm sure we can all relate in this for real. We've all been rejected numerous times. I've been rejected so many times, but sometimes I question myself and I ask, why am I still putting myself in positions to get rejected, you know? But it's always worth it. So I think it's that resilience as well that's super important.
Yeah, resilience. Oh, top answer, man. You know, right at the top, resilience has to come through. So thank you very much. Daniel, what about yourself? Any superpowers that you've unlocked?
Mine is probably kind of similar, which is like, I think persistence. It's like just sticking at something that you believe in, that other people like might not think's cool, but you know, like you're really into it. Like I started off doing music when being a film composer or TV composer wasn't really a cool thing. And weirdly, I started off going to like raves literally across the street from here when I was like 15, and like just giving people tapes, and that kind of got me into making electronic music. And then I started doing TV stuff, and being a film composer is like, actually, it's a really tough job, because it's not like you just write the piece of music and it's done. You have to redo things over and over again. You've got to come up with them, especially on a film like this, like Spider-Verse, where you've got to come up with millions of different ideas. If they don't work, boom, try another one. Doesn't work, boom, try another one. And, you know, just from starting out and just keep on going with something that you believe in, that you really think is something that brings out the best in you. And I think having that and being able to shut off other people's voices and like really believe in what you're like doing and pushing, you know, it could take you on a crazy journey. You know, it's taken me all the way from over there, halfway around the world, back to here to talk about Spider-Verse. And that journey is a crazy one. And that's just through persistence of being like, I know I can do this.
Was there a moment in your process for the film where you really had to persist and be like, guys, I'm onto one here, and guys are like, no, we don't believe it. But you're
that's like every day.
Oh no, not every day.
No, like making this movie is it's a big, huge collaborative process. You've got so many people you're dealing with, and you know, if you ever see a great movie, it's only great because every single person in that movie brought their A game. You get one person who lets it down, one department that lets it down. You might be like, yeah, that movie was kind of good, but like I didn't like the costumes, or the actor was a bit hokey, or the script was dodgy. But when you see a great movie, that's when every single person is like on point and doing like the most top of their game work. And like with this movie, like that's what's kept us all just about sane, is like we know everyone else is pushing us hard.
I don't think we can ever underestimate how many full circle moments BSTN bring about, you know, like to sit next to you, to know that you were across the road in Brixton doing up tapes and whatever, and now in the film you're there really out here composing music. For those of us who are gonna watch the film, gonna be like, oh, there's an essence of Brixtoniness in the film that all of us are gonna be proud about.
There's actually a big, like, there's two big London elements in this film, I'd say, in terms of influences. Like, so I used to go to like kind of quite mad electronic raves around here, lots of venues that no longer exist, some were in squats. But that's where I kind of got really turned on to electronic music and kind of rave culture and sort of ambient music. There used to be these amazing pies in a squat called Telepathic Fish that was on the Cold Harbour Lane in the Cool Tan, which now doesn't exist. It was next to Brixton Market. And then I used to go to hip-hop nights in East London in a place called the Blue Note, which also no longer exists. And that's kind of where I saw record scratching for the first time. And that had a huge impact on me as a 19-year-old, just being like, this is really cool, this is really interesting, and this is like nothing I've heard. And this is like English people, Japanese people, American people, bringing this from New York into London. I'm experiencing it, and then it's sticking in my head for like a decade or more. And I'm like, I want to do something with that one day. This film comes up, the first one, the first Spider-Man in Spider-Verse. I'm like, this is the time where I'm going to use that knowledge and that experience of being in London and give it back to the world, weirdly through Brooklyn, an animation set in Brooklyn.
He basically stole superpowers.
Basically stole your superpowers.
This PR that you have going on right
now. Yeah, do you know what I mean? He scripted this one.
Yeah, that thing that's really interesting, I think, about culture is culture, like we're told certain things are cultured and other things aren't, but it's kind of nonsense. It's like, you look at video games, it's like video games, when I was growing up, was seen as sort of frivolous, you know, not important works of art. And now, it's still a bit slow, but people are really realizing how important they are as like, you know, cultural experiences. And I think anything that affects you and makes you look at the world differently, or you're into, don't worry if anyone else tells you it's not important or it's not cultural. That is stuff that will affect you to make something greater.
Yeah.
And the more you cannot really listen to what everyone else says and listen to what you think and how you feel about anything in life, that's when you get a more individual voice.
Yeah, big time. Everything you just said about Brixton and about gaming and how that's coming full circle. And then representation, and now we see Miles Morales in the film, we see there's so much to be said about representation, but also for joy, like to see yourself on screen, to be acknowledged when you're out here putting out fires left, right, and center. Is that a moment when you're like, guys, come on, I've been saying this, I've been screaming this. So what does a film like this do for you in the conversations and in the world that you're having?
It just really just, you know, like sparks the black girl in me, like the little black girl in me that used to, you know, enjoy these things when I was younger, and, you know, being an adult now and talking about these things day in, day out, and now we finally get to see these things on the big screen, and being able to see Miles Morales being his entire self and how much detail they put into him as a black and Puerto Rican character. Yeah. So, you know, there's representation across all fronts, and there's so much joy in it because not only am I celebrating it, I'm celebrating it amongst my community. We all get to just really be in that moment together without it being something political or something that's, you know, problematic or something that's dramatic even. And I know how important this film is to me, but I know more importantly how important this film is to the next generation. Right. Because, you know, Miles Morales, he's still a young kid, and this is their moment, and this is their audience that, you know, he's going to really embark in. And, you know, it comes back into gaming. Gaming has been here forever. Now, obviously, a lot of people are catching up to it, but I feel like our voices and just how important it is to really say these stories are important and why it's important to have our faces represented in these things will help the next generation go on and, you know, go on.
What's the quickest change within gaming to do with representation? What's the quickest thing you're like, right, guys are catching on to this, but also what's the slowest thing that's taken to change?
I think the slowest thing that's taken to change is really dismantling the tradition of what, you know, the industry looks like. So you look at the higher execs, they don't look like us, and everything starts internally. You know, if you want to see those changes, you're going to have to do the work internally in order for it to fall down. And unfortunately, it is a hierarchy. But for me, like, I've never really cared about it looking at it as a hierarchy. I know if I need to go into that room and dismantle something, sometimes you have to dismantle it to build something newer and greater. And that really resonates, you know, towards this movie as well. And I guess the positives is that, you know, the work that I've been doing and the work that, you know, my company's been doing, we've been able to, you know, have more voices, because I'm not going to be here forever. And for me, I'm all about building legacies and ensuring that there's pathways for different people to also share their story. So luckily, the positives that come from it are being able to create that space, so then the other people can also create other space and other lanes for, you know, people of representation.
Yeah, come through, man. That's huge. Seshie, what about yourself? Like, to see this new movie, to see Miles Morales, to see the Jordan 1 Next Chapter in the film, what do you think that does for young black men, just your age, younger, older, to see that on the big screen? Does that hit home differently for you?
For me, yeah, definitely. I feel like it's definitely just more relatable. Like, you feel like you're looking at a mirror. Do you know what I'm saying? Despite the colour, I feel like just any young person of any ethnicity from this world, or even just from like urban background, they're gonna look at it and be like, "Wow, that could actually be me." Like, I feel like, obviously, watching the film myself and just seeing how they obviously portrayed him as a character, they had the shoe in every moment. It's like, it's really a staple. It's something that everyone can look at and relate to, and everyone does, because everyone does wear these trainers. Everyone does wear them in any form or walk of life. So to see him go to school and to see him fight villains and trials and tribulations, I feel like everyone's had their trials and tribulations in these trainers as well. So I think it was depicted very well.
Yeah. And you've said about self-belief as well. I think there's going to be a lot of response to be like, rah, characters wearing the same kicks I got on, man. I feel invincible. I feel like I'm ready to go. When you look over in terms of like your story coming up, how much does fashion overlap into that and build confidence? Because there's lots of people watching to think, okay, I see myself in the mirror. I see myself represented. Does that build confidence for you?
Honestly, I remember, because I was raised in Brooklyn as a kid, so I went there when I was like 5, came back when I was about 12, and that whole like streetwear, that hip hop vibe, like 90s kind of vibe, that's really what created me. That's my foundation. And I remember we were poor, we didn't have no money, but I do remember one of my classmates, Shanika, she had all the new trainers, all the new, and specifically Jordans. Like, she's the reason why my fave Jordan is what it is as well, because I seen her rocking them for the first time. And like moving forward in life, you know, associating those memories, that foundation, you know, that those memories that really created who I am today and created like the love I have for these things, and seeing how I can see it on the big screen, seeing how, you know, other people have such a love for it as well, and how like the sneaker industry has evolved so much and has been so accessible for more people as the years has gone on. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it.
It really is. It really is. I'm just going to go back to culture actually, because Seshie, you mentioned something just about, like, there's a mirror there. There's a thing of like, an ownership, a pride in it as well. And so when you're in rooms, maybe similar to Steph, the rooms that you're in, and you're really trying to make the point, is it, when movies like this come out, does it help the cause or does it take away from the cause? In the sense that you lot are late to the party, man. We've been telling you from the get-go to jump on quick. And so now you're like, right, we win, we celebrate all the wins when we see ourselves represented. But and it goes into much as joy. Are you conscious of that in rooms that have people that don't look like you? Do you feel like your voice is being heard? And is it heard louder when movies like this come out?
I think it's definitely heard louder when movies come out like this because it's more relatable. They might go and watch it themselves with whoever they are, and then they're just starting to pick up certain like lingos or certain characteristics or the way a certain person moves, and it's more relatable because they might see myself and be like, oh, you move like Miles, like you talk like Miles, like, do you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. But I feel like, yeah, things like this do definitely reinforce, like, you need to get in with the times. You need to see that, yo, like, this is really what it is. So yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, big time. And what about representation off camera then? When you were working with the team, what does it look like behind the scenes?
Lots of very stressed people.
Yeah.
I mean, the film industry is still not as representative as it should be, really. Like, especially in music. Like, music is still pretty, like, white guys like me, you know? And it's like, there's a lot of work still to be done, I think, especially in film music, because it is still very male and very white. It's getting better. It's definitely getting a lot better over the last, like, 5 years. And there's some great composers coming through. And for me, I just love hearing different voices. Like, everyone's got a different story. And everyone's story, their background is going to change how they write music. And if everyone's got the same kind of background, music's not going to be as interesting. Right. And so, like, yeah, like for me, I think with this movie, when I was doing the first one, it was like really exciting to see something different, you know? Like, I felt very protective of Miles, like when we were working on that movie, because no one knew what we were doing and no one really cared. They're like, oh yeah, Spider-Man, they've made a million Spider-Man movies and an animated Spider-Man movie. But I was like, this is gonna be so special and this is really gonna affect like a whole bunch of kids. Yeah. And that really like would give you that extra energy when you're working on it, because you're just thinking, there's gonna be some kid who's never seen a superhero like this. And I love the way it's not even, like, Miles is just effortlessly cool all the way through. And I love the way he's like, people now want to be Miles more than, because ages ago it'd be like, oh, Peter Parker's the real Spider-Man. Now everyone's saying that. Miles is my Spider-Man. And we did this concert we did the first film live. And I was like, if we do this live, it's got to be done in Brooklyn first. Yeah. So we went to Brooklyn and it was amazing. Just the audience was like every age, every color, every sex. And that was amazing to see, to actually see an audience that was so diverse and so broad. And I love the way this movie brings all those different audiences together. Yeah. It doesn't just segregate to just one sort of demographic. It brings everyone into this story. I think that's where, hopefully, things start changing a bit better.
Yeah. Jumping straight into storytelling, because I loved what you said about going to Brooklyn and those stories coming out of the screening. Just opening the floor to where we've taken risks, because I guess in some ways, the characters, the story, the film, all of it, there's an element of risk-taking, but risk-taking that pays off. So Steph, I want to pick your brain first and say, when was the first time you really was like, I took a big risk here, you know, but I'm so glad it paid off. And what was the run-up to the risk? What were some of the things you were worried about, and how did it pay off?
I think the biggest thing for me is not conforming. the games industry can be very narrow and very yes men. And if you don't do something, a lot of people fear of, you know, being shut down or being blacklisted or not getting opportunities or not working with their favorite brands. And I think because I say no a lot, I was very outspoken. I used my platform to really touch people who may have thought the same but didn't want to speak out about it. And yeah, I'm going to get companies and brands that be like, oh, we can't work with her, she's, you know, hazard, or the company's a hazard. But it really invited hundreds more brands to work with me because they saw that I still stood tall, you know, still believing in what I believed in and still wanted to work. And I think that's something that's so important across many other different industries that we're all in today. When you are yourself and no one and nothing can change you, you're well respected. And for me, I'd rather be respected than liked because I know my work speaks for myself. And I'd rather, you know, go this way than everyone going that way because I know it's more rewarding this way and it's only going to get better when more people also benefit from it.
Yeah, big time.
It might be harder, but definitely way more.
It'll be harder, yeah, because like you said, it's hard. It's already hard in what I'm doing every single day. So it's worth the journey at the end of it. And I know that, again, the mission and the purpose is, you know, is bigger.
Yeah, and they're just better stories to tell, to be honest.
This is it.
Like,
this is it.
They're
exactly.
juicier, they're just easier to tell. Seshie, what about yourself? Do you take risks? Are you a risk taker?
My whole career has been a risk. Man.
Oh, go on. What's the first risk you took?
Starting this company, my events company, I feel like that as a whole has been a risk because I've come from a place where, boy, I didn't do the normal route with schooling, so I didn't go uni. I just told my mum, yo, this is my concept, this is my idea. No, but it was a conversation where it's like everyone in my family's done that route. And I was the one where it was like, nah, I believe in what I want to do and I know exactly how I want to do it. I'm just gonna...
That come from?
Huh?
Where does that come from?
Just me, like, just came from, that's the self-belief. Like, I feel like there's a big, I don't know what you would call it, but I feel like there's like a big level of delusion and faith. Do you get what I'm saying? Like so much delusion, like nothing can tell you no, but so much faith where it's like, I can see it, I can feel it. So it was like, that's really what it was. And like, I started my company at 16. So like, starting from then and just believing like, yo, this is the concept, this is how I want to do it. And then obviously it's an event, so you're putting a lot of money at risk. So putting a lot of money, believing in artists that people might not see the vision or saying, right, I can hear their talent, but people can't see the numbers. It's a whole nother ball game. So it's like sticking with your main thought and your main plan and just keep pushing and showing that delusion and faith as well. So people will eventually see it because not all the time they can see it. But yeah, and then just going from there and just taking every step as it comes, like still having that belief that I'm doing the right thing, not going the normal route, the uni, the X, Y, and Z. And then, yeah, just putting more and more money up for grabs. And you take L's here, you take another L there, and you get a W, and then you just keep grafting, you keep growing. But I say, yeah, the whole of my career has been a risk, man. Like, standing on these stages in front of thousands of people and just hyping. But it's like, people are like, how do you do it? But it's like, it's the belief, it's the faith. Like, nothing can get in the way of that. And I feel like that's also shown within Spider-Man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, his belief and faith in who he is, how he represents himself, and he just shows that in the purest form.
Never L's, always lessons. That's what Miles does.
No, 100%. Yeah. 2 L's make a W, man.
Yeah. I'm stealing the superpower over this side. It's too good.
I also didn't go to university. I took a year off to see how my music went. And I'm technically still on my year off. And every now and again, I have these freaky dreams where it's like, right, you got to go to university now. I'm like, nah, like, I got this shit going on. And they're like, no, you got to go to university. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, I got my thing now.
Yeah, man, no risk, no reward, man.
That's it.
And I was going to come to you guys, but what is it about tradition that do you feel like tradition traps you? Is it something then to break or to mold? Does it give you a routine?
I'm not a big tradition guy. I think the more you can create your own journey and your own path, and like, that's when you get great stuff. It's like, don't do what everyone tells you should do. Do what you want to do. And like, we're talking about like these kind of moments. Like for me, it was when I did things where I was like, someone asked me to do something, and I'm like, I got no idea how to do that, right? But I just like, oh yeah, I can do that. So I'm slightly blagging it. And then when you're thrown in the deep end, you learn crazy fast. And it's like, and the failures you have are like so important because it's like, we're all told you've got to be successful, success, success. Now, you want to fail loads over and over again because every time you fail, you learn so fast. You learn so much more. If you have success the whole time, you don't really learn much. You just think you're great. And early on, you just do, you know, the best stuff for me was just throwing myself in the deep end, trying to work out how to do something, getting it half right, and the half wrong is where you learn everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that touches so nice with your superpower of like resilience, you know, because you were just sharing about, it's not every day is a yes, you know, some days you'd be hearing no.
Most days you're actually going to hear no.
Do you know what I mean?
There's a lot more no's than yes.
How does that fashion you? How does that build you into the woman that you are today? But what's some of the no's that you've heard along the way that's really driven you to be like, no, I'm going to keep going and not conform to whatever tradition someone may be trying to box you in with?
Genuinely, I couldn't pick one out of a hat, honestly. There's so many no's, but I do really want to answer your question about the risk taking because, and also about the tradition as well. I feel like people stick to their tradition and it's fine for some people, but I feel like it's just because it's safe, right? No one wants to do anything that they don't know what they're going to get out of. That's super scary coming out of your comfort zone, but like you guys said, obviously 100% worth it. But I started living by myself from when I was like 17 and I had a flat and stuff, like I had to pay bills and rent and stuff, and that's all whilst going to uni. So it was a super risk for me to decide to go to uni, actually, initially, whilst trying to pay rent, and then leave uni, because I went to 2 different ones, work several full-time jobs that I absolutely hated and was so miserable doing, and then eventually taking that ultimate risk and just saying, listen, I need to do something creative, I need to do something that like really fulfills me and makes me feel good, because I was depressed. So yeah, I think risk-taking is always a positive thing.
Yeah, big time. And all of that leads me so nicely to a question I want to ask before we open it up to the floor. Everyone at the top of the show gave their idea of what their superpower is. But Seshie, actually, I'm going to add to what you said just now about getting on stage and you're hyping someone. I want to know in your lives, who hypes you? Who hypes you to drive that superpower just that little bit more deeply? Because sometimes when you look at yourself, you think, oh, I'm just out here just putting one foot in front of the other. But you actually have got super people in your lives. So when you look at a Miles, you think, yeah, there's many a Miles in my life. There's many a Miles in my life. So I would love to know who hyped you and who has put that sort of that fire in your belly to make sure that that superpower is there resonating with you. So who is your superhero in your life? Who hypes you? Let me go. Yeah, go on, Sesh.
I'd say my mum, myself, and my peers, man.
Talk to me about Mumsy. Why Mum?
Because my mum believes that as much as it's like your parents always like, yeah, dude, it's like there was some form of I believe that I can see you possibly doing this, especially with like the way not the way I was raised, but the stuff I went through in life, where it's like a lot of people have been like, no, you can't. A lot of friends, families, teachers, whatever, you ain't gonna do this, you're gonna end up here, you're gonna do that, the same old BS and whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'd definitely say my mum, because she actually encouraged me to take the first step to enter a program where I even started this business. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's always been me and my mum having conversations about just growth and doing different things and going against the grain. So yeah, I'll say my mum, and then I'll say myself, because when my mum's not there, it's me. And it's me and myself. So I'll be talking to myself all the time in the mirror, like, yeah, you're the guy, man. Like, what the hell? Like these guys are telling you no. These are waste, man. Like, they'll get it. They're slow. I say I'm my biggest cheerleader, because it's like, as well as like obviously my mum and my peers seeing and having a bit more understanding, I'm the only one who can personally see the end goal. Do you get what I'm saying? So in my head, it's like, I already know where it is. I'm kind of having to show them, but it's not physical, so it's hard for them to fathom a bit more. So myself and then my peers, because they inspire me with what they do. Do you know what I'm saying? There'll be times where a couple of my mates, they'll do big things and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I believe I'm there, like I'm gonna catch up, or we're gonna be there as well. So those will be the three main things or main people that I say inspire me, man.
Yeah, big time. Thank you so much. Shouts to Mumsy, man.
Yeah, man, come on.
I'm always in the dance with you. I never think about, oh yeah, like, what's your relationship with your mum? Like, it's beautiful really beautiful to hear.
No, my mum's a big inspiration, man, because she done things against the grain. Like I watched my mum, she used to man cranes on cameras and that. Like, you know the big cranes that have the cameras and all that stuff. Yeah, like.
That's what your mum's doing, yeah? You wanna bring your mum free?
No, for real. Like, my mum's done so many things against the grain that, like, she'll tell me about all of her qualifications she has, bricklayer and this, and I'm just like, how though? Like, how do you do this? Like, it's like, if you can do this, and it can be anything, I can do whatever I want, and no one can tell me jack. Yeah. So yeah.
It's so about representation and seeing it done, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's so big. Steph, what about yourself? Who's been your superhero or superheroes in your life?
First and foremost, my team. They believed in me when sometimes I didn't. Yeah. I'm always going to be a self-believer, of course, but you know, you're also human. So you're going to have moments of doubt, and having a team that are constantly in your corner every single day, believing in this vision of this brand, it's incredible. So shout out to them. My friends, obviously, my friend Seshie is here, and they. I'm here. They keep me grounded, and they are, you know, my superheroes as well, because times when I can be a bit dramatic, I can be. But I think it's just because I'm very passionate about what I want to do, and I'm a all-in or all-out person. So they always reassure me, tell me everything is going to be okay, always supporting me, always coming to our events, you know, even working at the events, and I'm literally forever in debt, you know, with their love and their support. And my mum, you know, going back into that, my mum, yes, you know, I'm my biggest cheerleader, but she's the one that, you know, bought me all the games growing up, you know, and she never saw me as any different, and she always, you know, encouraged me to pursue what I wanted to do. She'd watch Spider-Verse, like she's a huge Spider-Man fan as well, and you know, being able to have somebody like that in your corner and tell you, listen, you can do this, and just seeing her as an inspiration, as her being an entrepreneur as well as myself, and you know, her running her businesses and then, you know, myself running my businesses, it's just like, I can look at her like, I can also do this, but beyond. And yeah, you know, and obviously, I guess myself as well, like running 3 companies, it's not easy, but it's only you that can do it. And I do this full time, and I'm grateful and honored to really look at myself in the mirror and say, you know, you are your own big boss. So, you know, keep going and keep striving, because no one else can do it but you. Yeah.
Big facts, man. Big facts. Thank you, friends. Daniel, let me jump into you. Yeah, who's your superheroes in your life?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I was thinking, I think what it actually is, it's sort of not what you'd think as a superhero, but it's actually the audience going to see a movie, right? And so the thing I always think about is people who've gone to cinema, like, that is a big deal these days to make that effort, right? And I want to like give them an experience that like is like nothing they've experienced before. And you will remember when you go to cinema, like when you see something really good, it sticks with you for the rest of your life. Yeah. And so I'm always thinking, how do I give someone that experience? And that is a huge driving force behind like how I'll try and approach music in films like Spider-Verse, where you know, you like basically if you see something you've seen a million times before, right? You kind of go, oh, yeah, I've seen this. And you might enjoy it, but it doesn't stick in your brain the same way. And I think one of the reasons you maybe have all dug the first Spider-Verse was because it felt like nothing you'd seen before. Yeah. And nothing you heard before, right? Yeah. But it's that thing, it's like basically, I'm just trying to implant like cool memories and experiences into people's heads. Yeah. And then job done. And if I can do that, then that's great, because you've kind of sort of thrown this kind of like love or experience out all over the world into loads of people's heads that you'll never meet, but you've given them a moment that hopefully sticks with them. So that's kind of what like drives me. That's
amazing. There are going to be many audiences listening to the film. I bet that is something that is just special for you to know.
There's bits when you like, basically I'll spend a long time trying to be like, how am I going to give people the biggest like moment here? Or how am I going to make them cry? That's my favorite bit. It's like, how do you make people cry at this moment, right? Yeah. And that is like the hardest. And if you can pull that off, I will spend so long on like 3 seconds. There's a bit in this new film that lasts 3 seconds. I've spent so long on it because it's a moment it's like a fist punch, you know, like yes moment. And those moments, there's bits you're like, oh yeah, this is film music. There's bits you're like, this is where it all gonna count. And it's like running a race. You're like, this is the bit I gotta like sprint and work on.
Like the Goose record scratch.
The Goose record scratch is more of a surprise. That's not the moment. I think that's the moment people go.
That's what make them cry.
Yeah.
But there's other bits where you're like, that's just gonna hopefully give people that goosebump buzz.
I've always found the score in a film like super fascinating because obviously that's what sets it. You know, it's exactly you're kind of controlling people's emotions.
Yeah, basically, I'm trying to manipulate everyone's emotions. That's what I'm trying to do, without them doing it. Yeah, there we go. See, we got like this two things going on.
I've been telling you, man. Telling you.
He's on form. Do you want to know more about yourself, sis?
Yeah, inspiration. I got to join the mummy crew, of course. My siblings as well. I'm the youngest from a lot of siblings, but from my mum and dad, 6. And so they kind of like spoil me, but also put me in my place. And now that I'm older, it's like I'm not young enough to be spoiled like how I used to be spoiled, you know? So they like consistently remind me to stay grounded, and that is amazing and, you know, so important. You mentioned teams, Stephanie, and I've just like started building a team around me actually, and I can really relate to that. I didn't think that there would be a time where other people like believe in your vision as much as you do, and that's such a blessing to have that. So yeah, and like I guess I'll say like my manager / agent as well, because she really rides for me.
Yeah, you need that. It's about being so supported in every circle, isn't it? It doesn't matter what circle. So if you're talking about teams, and we have to talk about the BSTN London team, everyone that is around here, you're seeing the screen, but do you know how many people, how many eyes? Cordell is downstairs right now. He's not even here. But everyone that makes this show come together, the BSTN London crew, everyone, we want to give a massive shout out to you. And to the friends as well. I've got a young friend that's in the audience that when I moved over, he's trying not to look at me, but when we moved over to BBC Radio 1 Extra, he was like the first one to say, Swaz, well done, man. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So yes to the friends, yes to the team, yes to the people that are cheering you on and making sure that you get up to the next stage, man. So thank you so, so much. Ladies and gents, can we give it up for my special guest, please? But we are going to open it up now for Q&A. This is where any question goes. If you've got a question and you're in the audience, lovely audience, there's going to be a roving mic at some point, I believe. Yeah, we do. Can you give it up for Nadia on sound, please? Let's go, Nadia. Cheers, 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 cheers. If you have a question, just pop up your hand and say your name. We would love to get your name. And yeah, we can just jump in with Q&A.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Shaquille, and my question is for the entire floor. Everyone here is a creative in their own field, and they all pursue their dreams on kind of like the unorthodox path, where you didn't really follow the mundane. Yeah, as someone who is trying to get or looking for their big break within the creative industry, which kind of feels saturated today, what advice do you have for someone who's trying to get their break that also did not follow that same mundane college uni path?
Brilliant question. Thank you so much. So, so much.
Seshie,
let me jump in with you.
For me, it's find your USP, find what separates you from everyone else, and then also find what the problem is and aim to solve it. That's what I did. It was like, with everything I try and do, I look at what's there and what separates me from them, and also what's the problem and what's not being solved, and how can I impact that and change that. So that's what helped me like separate myself from the rest. So, for instance, doing events and not even doing events, actually just going to events and going there and just hearing a DJ just playing music. It's like, it's boring sometimes. It's like, who's gonna interact with us, get us going? And it was like, oh, I got ADHD, let me do that. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, let me do that. Let me bring people together. Let me show them the level of vibes or the energy that they should step in the room with. And yeah, even just with like putting on events, like only I have my ear. So only I can showcase the talent that I hear. And yeah, that was it. And just believing in myself to a level where it's like, you can tell me no, but you would be crazy to tell me no.
Yeah, find your USP, that's a big fact. Mm-hmm. Steph, what about yourself?
Similar to what he said about finding your USP, find your niche. I always have this big saying about impact over numbers. Don't worry about your numbers. The numbers are going to come. Focus on the impact because that's what's going to grow you authentically and organically. I know we're doing things the unorthodox way. We're not doing the traditional uni and stuff like that. But I will recommend and always encourage studying your field back to front. Even times when you're having downtime, when things are quiet, study the market because that's where you're able to find, like you said, the solutions to things, or you're able to now find the loopholes or things that need to be fixed. And just be disciplined. Be very disciplined because discipline leads on to, you know...
That one's peak still.
Yeah, it's hard because we don't have a regular 9 to 5. Mine is like 9 to 9. Sometimes it's 9 Monday to 9 on Sunday. So, but having discipline is a really, really important thing. And also be kind on yourself as well. Take those breaks when you need it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was going to throw in that just do it. Like, sometimes you can just sit on this idea and the idea long. Fam, just get up and do it. Like, we actually need you to be part of the conversation. We need you, whatever you are cooking up, to be in the pot. So, yeah, just, well, I'd say just when you get up and do it and people encourage you, applaud you for it, and you can tweak it, there's nothing to change if there's nothing to work with. So, yeah, getting up and doing it is a massive thing as well. Daniel?
I mean, I think what you're saying about, like, finding a niche and doing your own thing is, like, so important because it's like, if all the crowd are that way, go the opposite way. Like, run away from the crowd, do your own thing. And yeah, when you find something you love, it doesn't become hard work. You just, you want to suck up everything to do with it, which you'll just do naturally anyway. And so I think, and it's easy to say that because sometimes it's hard to find the one thing that is yours. But the more you can absorb as many different things, like cultural ideas, anything, and also just inventing stuff, being like, oh yeah, this gig needs a hype man. It's like, it's just finding something that you think you'd like and enjoy, and then just run with that.
I say just to touch on that as well, it's like, one thing that I not told myself early on, but I was told at first is that no one's born running. So it's like, you got to crawl, you got to take baby steps, like you're gonna fall over, graze your elbow, get back up, but it's all about that getting back up and just sticking with the plan. So I say, yeah, once you find that your USP and whatever it is you believe in or is passionate about, it's knowing that you are gonna fall over eventually. You are gonna hurt yourself. You are gonna not run straight away. You're not gonna sprint. It's gonna be a slow and steady pace. So once you know that, you can't really beat yourself up when it's not going like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I feel like even if you don't know your USP, that's all right as well.
Yeah.
Because you can figure that out through just like trying things. And I think it's really all about just doing things that make you feel good as well. And whatever you're having fun doing, and then that can kind of create something else.
I think also if you do anything creative, anything you take, let's just look at the shoes and design the shoes, which are awesome. You can be like, well, what makes that work? And you might take something out of that, like the simplicity or the boldness, and then you'd be like, okay, let's throw that into another field. How does that work in video? How does that work in music? How does that work in carpet design? You know, the more you can absorb different things, like cooking. If you like cooking, if you do music and cooking, they're exactly the same thing. Weirdly, it's like, right, these spices are like effects boxes, you know, you've got your basics, your drums and your bass, that's like maybe some meat and potato. It's like you learn all these different techniques, and then you'll cook something one day and you'll be like, oh man, I should do a track like this.
Yeah.
Love that.
Thank you so much. Brilliant question, by the way. No, really good question. Thank you. Any more questions? Don't be shy.
I got a question for Stephanie.
Yeah, go for it.
So how did you start like doing your first kind of like games broadcasts, and like how did that start?
So 8 years ago,
Yeah.
it's 8th year anniversary of Nate Saga. So when I started, so I have a background in health, and naturally when you're working in health, you have to learn empathy. You want to be able to look after people. But I've always had a passion in gaming, playing video games growing up. And obviously I'm the eldest, so I was the one that's discovered loving games and stuff. And I actually wanted to get into the games industry. So whether it's working in marketing or working with a game studio or something. But it was very, very hard to get into the games industry because, again, it's very cliquey. They don't have people that look like me. Over the years, it's changed, but when I wanted to do it, it was very hard to get in, even to the foundation levels. So I kind of literally got fed up and decided to create my own platform. I was also going through a dark time in my life, and crazy enough, when I went through that dark time in my life, it was gaming that brought it back together, because when I was stressed, I was away from gaming, and gaming was like my escapism. And this kind of resonates to Miles when he's like swinging across from here and there. That's his escapism, you know? So gaming brought me back to my focus, and when I wanted to try enter the games industry, it wasn't in my favor because of who I was, what I looked like and everything. So got fed up, and I wasn't seeing people that looked like me. So then I just created Nay Saga, and I actually created it offline doing events, because I'd go to gaming events and it would be little white boys, basement dwellers, and it's not something that I would relate to, but there's so many people that I knew that gamed and looked like me, whether you're black or brown. And what I had to do was, again, find a solution. I was thinking, okay, I need to create a new hub or community where people can also come and escape and find people that are relatable and also safe. I'm always a big believer of safe spaces, especially for, underrepresented groups, women, people from the LGBT community. It's very hard to find safe spaces for us. So in doing so, created Nay Saga, creating events, and word of mouth is very important, and people knew about the brand, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger until we moved everything online. And then in doing so, again, I didn't really see people that were creating content who were, a black girl from South London. So I started doing YouTube videos, streaming. The vibes. Video creating, streaming, and again, still doing events, then also falling into consultancy. So now my main job is consulting with game studios or non-gaming brands to ensure that people that look like us are in their campaigns, in their product launches and stuff like that. And then, again, the community grew, the audience grew, and here's where we are now.
That's amazing. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be like, you're actually out here bossing it. I don't know how you...
Try it.
That's wild.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats, sis. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of the episode, sadly, but we want to know what you've got to say, so please leave all your questions, all your comments in the chat box below. We want to hear you and be part of the conversation. But ladies and gents, please can you give it up for my incredible team, my special guests. Give it up for Seshie, for Steph, for Daniel, and for Joelah. I told you this episode would be very, very gassy. We've been celebrating the Jordan 1 next chapter, and go and see the film. You need to see it on the big screen to see all the animation, but all the details in the kicks as well. So go see it June the 2nd, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We're very, very excited for the film, and I hope you guys are too. Until next time, we'll be back. We are from the heart, from the south, right here at the BSTN London store in Brixton. Man, like south as well, so let's go. Take care, see you soon. Peace out, bye.